Canada as well. I'm really excited to have him here tonight. I want you guys to get excited too and give him a massive welcome. So guys, you guys will have to like somehow split. Otherwise you'll have to stage dive over you and he could die, okay? It's yeah, no, you can do that. You sit there, man. It's fucking we'll break the couple up because that's how we rolling here. It's but guys, he's after great, so please guys in the back start clapping. Come on, start clapping. Sacha Husband.
Thanks. I'm just gonna stare at you until your youth absorbs into me. Your name's Jack?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jack, can I ask you a personal question? When you came to the show tonight, did you think a giant Canadian stereotype would be staring at you making a slight advance? That was your mistake. You're a wholesome looking motherfucker. Has anyone ever told you that?
No.
You look like your face would be on like anti-masturbation. With the slogan like, think of the children. Well, tell you what, Jack, I'm going to keep my set pretty wholesome for you, and I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable, so I'm just going to rock on with the show. Sound good?
Cheers.
Cool. All right. Where was I? Oh, yeah. I've been thinking a lot about dicks recently. And, it's funny, though, because if you think about, like, erections are hilarious, because, like, if someone has an erection, you can kind of tell what they're going through, you know? Like, a person is sexually aroused. But can you imagine if erections represented some other sensation that people experience? You know, like extreme remorse? Just picture that, turning up to a funeral and, like, everyone has a boner. This guy's walking down the street with an erection, people go up to them, I'm so sorry.
Keep going.
So, has anyone seen The Revenant recently? Has anyone seen The Revenant? Oh, it's great, isn't it? I saw The Revenant recently and I thought, Leonardo, is everything alright? Cool. Getting a little shifty in the middle of my set. Don't do that. Yeah, I thought Leonardo DiCaprio's performance was incredible, and before The Revenant came out, there were a lot of articles talking about this one particular scene with a bear. You guys know about this scene? Yeah. So in this scene, Leonardo DiCaprio gets mauled by a bear, and it's fucking horrific. It is such an incredible scene, and a lot of the articles that were coming out before the movie was released was talking about this scene, saying things like, Leonardo DiCaprio shines in scene with bear. They make it sound a little more interesting than the way I just did. And then there was a second article that was released that was written by a feminist film theorist that compared the scene to a rape. Oh yes. And it was saying things like, obvious power dynamic between Leonardo DiCaprio and the bear. Sexual tension, question mark? I was like, I don't know if I see what you're talking about. And then there was a third article written by a person who hadn't seen the movie, but had read that second article that was simply titled, Leonardo DiCaprio raped by bear in film. And that's the article I read, and I was like, I think I want to see this movie. And then I went to it and was frankly underwhelmed by the scene. Not to its discredit, like it was an amazing scene, but it's one of those situations where like, if someone promises you something and then they don't deliver, you can't help but be like, what the fuck was that? It's like if someone told you you could see the Beatles, like today, like they brought George Harrison and John Lennon back to life, and you bought a ticket, and you went to the show and you handed in your ticket, and then you find your seat, and you're sitting in your seat, and like people are milling around you, and then the lights dim and everyone cheers, and all of a sudden like Ringo runs out on stage, and George runs out on stage, and John runs out on stage, and then like Paul McCartney's son runs out on stage. You're gonna be upset. And it doesn't matter how good James McCartney plays in that situation, you're just gonna be like, nope. So I had a burrito for lunch today, and because I wanted to remind my body that I make mistakes. My body's like, Sacha, what the fuck are you doing? What did you do to me? And I'm like, well, I took all of the heaviest foods in the world, I put them in a tortilla, and then I consumed that within the course of 15 minutes as one meal. I call it a burrito. I call it you're fucking killing me. I'll check in with you, Jack. Your arms folded so neatly. Quaint. It's another word to describe you. So I was reading a book recently. Have you guys seen this? I was reading a book and I saw on the cover of the book, there was the title of the book, and then it said, a novel. A novel. And I went into a bookstore and I noticed this more and more. You know, lots of books have on their cover like a novel or a novella. And I read that and I was just like, who's that for? Like, what kind of skeptical asshole looks at a book and is just like, nope, I'm not convinced. I need that shit in writing. I need to know what I'm getting into. They just pick up copies of Harry Potter like, what is this? What is this? That's why I think I'm going to write a book, and on the cover I'm just going to write a potato. See how those skeptical people react. They go in to a bookstore with their friends like, Rick, I've never seen a potato look that much like a book before. Let's buy up the lot, we'll sell it, make a profit, because people love shit that looks like other shit. You notice that? People love buying shit that looks like other shit. So long as two things bear passing semblance, like their value increases exponentially. And there can be some degrees of separation in there. Like it can be a rock that looks like a rock that looks like Jesus. Showing it to your friends. Oh yeah, the rock formation's in here. I can totally see how it would look like another rock. And how that other rock would look like our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. They say that everyone has a type, but my type is lesbian, and that's not exactly negotiable. I can't put that shit on a dating site. Single man seeks lesbian. Must love pizza. No smokers. Jewish, I don't know. Sorry, sir, we couldn't find you a non-smoking, pizza-loving Jewish lesbian. Shit. What part of the criteria is not working? But dating's always been tricky for me. I always found like women complicated and confusing. And I think it dates right back to when I was at summer camp. I was 12 years old, and this girl named Minji came up to me. Now, Minji, you know what's funny about that? That's her name. She sounds Asian! Well, she was Asian. For context, she was a tiny Asian girl. That might have changed. She might be like 500 pounds and black now, but that's who she was then. And Minji walked up to me, and she just points at me, and she goes, "You have a fat stomach." And I know what you're thinking, audience. And no, I didn't get mad at Minji in that moment. I just heard the words that were coming out of her mouth, and I just went, oh, I guess that's how Minji communicates with people. I guess I should respond now. So I point back at her, and I go, "You have a fat face." It's at this moment that Minji decides to uppercut and dislocate my jaw. And I thought, ooh, that's not how I was expecting this to go. So she ran away, and I looked around for support, and I just got a load of women's faces doing this to me. And I was like, I don't know what's going on right now. So later on, I was in the dining hall. I was like eating a sandwich or something, and all the girls in camp surrounded me, and they went, "What you did to Minji was not very nice. You never tell a girl she's a fat face." I'm like, when was that prescribed as a rule? In chivalry, it's like, always hold the door open for a woman. Never tell her she has a fat face. And they're like, "You're going to have to apologize to Minji." And I was like, "Excuse me?" And they're like, "Yeah, you're going to have to do that." I was like, "Why would I apologize to Minji?" And they're like, "Well, we're all the girls in summer camp, and if you want anything to happen with any of us," and I was like, "I'm going to go apologize to Minji." So later on, I found Minji in the dining hall. She was eating a sandwich or something. It's a very sandwich-centric camp that we went to. And I walked up to her and I said, "Hey, Minji, I just wanted to tell you that I'm sorry about what I said. I didn't mean it. You don't have a fat face." And then she and all the other girls in camp in unison went, "Aww, he's so sensitive." And then they all hugged me at once. And it was while I was in their tight embrace that I just thought to myself, maybe I should just become gay. Because that seems a hell of a lot simpler than whatever this is. And you wouldn't find two gay guys doing that to each other, or if they did, it would go very differently. You have a fat stomach. You have a fat face. You're right, that doesn't feel very nice. Agreed. Let's get back to something we both enjoy, like sodomy. That's like all my jokes. Unfortunately, gonna have to end on a sodomy reference. Yeah, this isn't a joke, but I just want to take time to say that Matt Sadlier is closing up the show today, and he was one of the first people I saw when I came here, and it's a huge, huge honor to be opening for him. So you guys are in for a huge treat. My name is Sacha Husband. I hope you enjoyed yourself tonight. Goodbye.
Guys, here for Sacha Husband. Come on!